Hello guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 best MCU villains in my opinion. So before we start, obviously going to go for some honourable mentions and giving you my top 10. It's just my opinion. I've done a bit of thinking, a little bit of changes here and there since the year came to an end. But yeah, don't get too angry. So for some honourable mentions, of course, I got Obadiah Stane, Ultron, Ego, Mysterio, and Agatha Harkness. So these are all people that are villains I think, like, I had a fun time with these villains, you know. They didn't quite reach top 10 for me. So yeah. But anyways, keeping myself at the top 10, I actually had the Scarlet Witch at number 10. I think there was a lot of good stuff here with Scarlet Witch. I felt her story was done decently well. Look, I know there are people out there that don't like Scarlet Witch, and I like her more than the actual movie Multiverse of Madness. And if you don't like Scarlet Witch, fine. But I think Elizabeth Olsen did a good performance, and she was just quite menacing. She did some pretty menacing stuff. So it was pretty fun to watch on screen. She did have that kind of screen presence that I think I can honestly accept. So while some people love her, some people hate her, a very controversial villain, I quite like her. At number 9 list, I have the Vulture. Another villain where, like, I can actually respect that he's not just a plain villain who wants, like, power or take over the world or whatever. She's just this family man who just wants to make money. He wants to make a living, which is quite interesting. And his connection with Spider-Man, pretty good. That scene in the car with him and Spider-Man, whew. That was great. That whole scene where he meets his girl. That was all good. However, he's not any higher because he's just not as complicated as some of the other villains. And complexity is something which I can see out of a villain. But the Vulture still works, I think, very well for the movies. And he's like, it's kind of nice to have a bit of a change where you got like a small scale villain. I think that really works. Number 8, I have Zemo. And I just think what works with Zemo is that he's a unique villain. He's not purely evil. He's quite a broken person. And the way that he just tears all the Avengers apart, just like that, is really quite impressive. Like, and he actually succeeds in doing so for a period of time. And we can see him again in the TV series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And he's just as much of a... he's still good there, but not complete villain there. So yeah, I can still admire Zemo and the whole Civil War story was good. Number 6, I have... no, not 6. Number 7, I have Hela. Now, she actually only just recently reached top 10 for me just because of her What If, like season 2, What If episode where Hela finds the 10 rings, and I think she was actually one of the best characters of What If season 2. And this is just my opinion, alright? And they just did it so nicely. Even in Ragnarok, with Kate Blanchett as Hela, she's having such a fun time. But then in What If season 2, they really improved on her character. She's kind of like forward away, and what it really teaches us is that Odin's a bad parent, and that Hela actually isn't purely evil. Like, if you look at every single stat, because she was kind of brought up to that way, plus she's the goddess of death, and just her overall journey of discovery proves that she's not all a bad person. I think she's actually a very interesting villain right there, and I was just so glad to see more of Hela being used, because I didn't think we got quite enough of her in Ragnarok. Number 6 is Killmonger. Now, I actually originally had him a bit higher on my list, and yeah, if you guys are Killmonger lovers, I respect that. I respect that. I think he's gone downhill a little bit since the release of Black Panther. Even though it's still pretty clear that him and T'Challa, their dynamics really do carry the movie. And what brings him down is that fun. It's just when he's in that suit. He's better without the goddamn suit, in my opinion. I think Michael B. Jordan did a good job. And what works with Killmonger is such a complex villain. He has these noble goals, like his intentions aren't evil or anything, but he's doing these things that are actually quite evil. Like he doesn't really hesitate when it comes to murder. He does kill quite a lot of people. That's pretty bad, and kind of want to start a global war with the world, which could have started World War III, theoretically. So yeah, I think Killmonger is just a cool villain, you know, and he was pretty successful in comparison to some of the other villains. Plus, of course, his dynamics with T'Challa obviously does work so well. And bringing him back in Wakanda forever was just nice to see. So yeah, I do like Killmonger. 5th place goes to Loki. Now, if you're looking at his character, mainly looking at how good he was as a villain, not just character. Because I think he was still a good villain, but as a character, he's actually one of my favourite MCU characters, especially because of Loki season 2. That was just amazing. But if you're looking at a villain, he's still a good villain. However, he's not quite as villainous as some of the other ones. But he knows how to play with his enemies' heads. Like, for example, you look at the Avengers, he knew how to kind of mess around with Black Widow a bit. And mind control Hawkeye. And even the Hulk, just makes that he tried. And he did work, and he's just like a charismatic villain, a villain that just has lots of charisma on screen. So yeah, I think that really does work with Loki for me personally. So yeah, he's a good villain, and just has some of them, and just has some very good quotes that you can just write a list of. Fourth place, I actually have Wenwu from Shang-Chi. And yeah, I think Wenwu is actually a great villain. I love how it's like father-son dynamics there. That really works so well, and his motivations are interesting. Like he has a hot, he's done terrible things in his past life, of course, as a crime lord. But he does have heart, right? He does care about his son, even though he wants his son to just follow his direction. And he's blinded by love. So I kind of thought the story there was kind of reminded me of Darth Vader's a bit, like Anakin Skywalker's, which was of course was a nice memory. So yeah, I think Wenwu is actually a great villain. I'm going to see more of him in What If. And there's just not much else to say. He's just good. Third place goes to Green Goblin. What works with Green Goblin is Green Goblin is such a menace, alright? His goals aren't really that simple. He just wants to like turn the hero, Spider-Man, against his own morals, like by killing Aunt May. And my god, he was a menace. He really had an impact on Spider-Man's life. He did probably one of the most more damage to a hero than lots of the other villains did, which I thought was quite, well, they worked with a villain. And Green Goblin knew how to mess with people. He knew how to get inside their heads. I like that. And Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin's a perfect casting choice. He's like, as I say, he's like the Joker of the MCU. It just works so well. And just makes him a good villain. He's not like any other villain, right? He has his own style. And he's a wild card, right? He's a psychopath. And plus, the whole kind of story of him, like Norman Osborn fighting his inner demons, is all very interesting to me. And of course, good to see him return. And he was even more of a menace in No Way Home. Number 2 is the High Evolutionary, and yes, this is not recency bias, but I actually think High Evolutionary was a great villain for Guardians 3. Way better villain than Kang. Let me just get that out of the way. And he really suited the movie he was in. His whole his whole connection to Rocket was really quite compelling, but what also works with the High Evolutionary is that he's such a despicable villain, a villain that you just hate so much. And for me, by far the most despicable villain in the MCU. One that I just absolutely despise the most. I just want to see him get destroyed whenever he's on screen. And also, when he just has that presence, his commanding screen presence. Like, the actor just did a great job at bringing his character to life. James Gunn himself confirmed he was pure evil. And just the things that he does. Like, whenever the High Evolutionary appears on screen, you know that something bad's about to happen. Like, when he's, like, his whole connection to Rocket, what he's doing to Rocket, he lied to Rocket about bringing him and his batch to promise utopia. Or he's just slaughtering a bunch of innocent people, species he created, right? Like where he slaughtered all of Rocket's friends. That was dark. That was actually one of the darkest things we've seen an MCU villain actually do. Plus, just that whole scene where he's like destroying his entire planet he created just because of some simple mistake. He's a perfectionist. He's a very twisted villain indeed. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's really a twisted psychopath who just creates to destroy, which is odd to see. And yeah, just such a despicable villain. He works so well because of how despicable he is, and it was so fun to get a villain that you actually hated, and seeing the Guardians beat the crap out of him at the end of the Guardians 3, oh my god, that was good. that was satisfying to watch, right? And yeah, I really hope to see more of him in the end. He's a villain that Kang should be. So yeah, a lot of good things, and yeah, it's just nice to have a villain, as I said. Nice to have a villain that's just pure evil. You hate him so much, and no villain can do that well better than that can fit that role better than High Evolutionary. But of course, at number 1, there should be absolutely no surprises here. That being the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. He arrives all the same at number 1. I don't think he'll ever be replaced. I think he's far and away the best MCU villain. Just has that kind of like presence. You can just feel his presence whenever he comes on screen. He appears on screen, you know something's about to happen, right? And that's just what works with Thanos so well. And he's just such a menace as well. Plus, he actually succeeded in getting what he wanted by destroying half of life for a period of time. And what also makes his character fascinating is like how determined he is to get what he wants. That really works for me. He has some sort of noble goal in mind to bring balance, but eventually it's evil, and his own ego is kind of like clouded his judgment in a way, which I think works for Thanos. And again, he'll be remembered as like the greatest villain of the MCU. He's basically a staple. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys like that video. See you guys next time. Bye.